The farming community continually works to educate and recruit the next generation of farmers as well as ag leaders. And one way that happens is through the Young Farmers and Ranchers program. I recently sat down with Heidi Parr, head of the YF&R with Washington's Farm Bureau, to learn what the program is all about.
So the Washington Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Rancher program is really an opportunity for folks ages 18 to 35 to get involved with peers who are starting out in agriculture. We have folks involved who have a family farm background, maybe they're the next generation, but we also have folks who are looking to get involved for the first time, and maybe they grew up around agriculture, maybe they didn't, but they just have a passion for getting involved. And so, as we all know, there's a lot of challenges that young producers face. And so this program is really meant to cater to that demographic of people who are just kind of starting out and engaging with their peers who are in a similar situation.
Now, Heidi, I don't want to sound like Debbie Downer, but maybe for people who are not so familiar, maybe they've been farming for a while and they forget what it's like to be young. What are some of the challenges that a lot of young farmers and ranchers face, whether they're first time to the ag industry or they're trying to step off of their parents' or their family's operation?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's unique for everybody, but I think across the board, what I hear in our members, a lot of them face financial challenges. That's probably one of the biggest things. As we know, farming, it takes a lot of capital to get involved, but then also to maintain, and the pressure to continue growing and continue, just being competitive in the industry. It takes capital to do that. And as a younger person, you're often faced with competing priorities for your time. You may have a spouse, young children, and especially if you don't come from a family farm background with resources kind of set in place to help you, you may be starting from ground zero, and really that's just really challenging financially. Another challenge I would say is, and this is more within families, but that succession planning, estate planning, those processes can be very uncomfortable and very intimidating. And so a lot of times younger folks feel like they want to do something, but maybe, they don't quite have the courage yet or the confidence within themselves to approach their family and have those conversations, or maybe they have and it really hasn't gone anywhere, or the generation before them really isn't open to their new ideas. And so it's this constant push and pull of I'm the next generation coming in, but then, you're not letting me grow. And so just kind of navigating the soft skills of that. And some of the competitions actually that are offered through our Young Farmer and Rancher program are designed to help folks in those scenarios to build confidence and to grow professionally and personally so that they can navigate some of those situations going forward. But those are probably the two biggest challenges, the financial capital to get involved, and then navigating relationships really around farming.
Heidi, would you describe YF&R as something that an organization that provides insight and advice for the next generation? Do you connect young producers or would-be producers with resources out there? Do you connect them with funding? How would you describe the program?
I would say yes, absolutely. There's a lot of room for development within our program, but what you just said is definitely the direction that the program is looking to go. And I'm actually, as the YF&R coordinator with the state committee, I'm really proud of the work that our members have been doing. This coming year, they've set a plan of activities, and one of their biggest things is that they want to actually connect young producers with more resources that are out there, and also to network with 4-H programs, FFA programs, other ag youth, because ultimately the goal, right, is that you would have folks engage in 4-H, FFA, manners, whatever the program is, and then bridge into young farmers and ranchers, then bridge into your county Farm Bureau program, and then bridge to the state Farm Bureau. There's different levels of leadership. And I think the Young Farmer and Rancher program it really stems to connect those producers with resources that are out there to help them in their operations, help them in their families. And so we're in the process of developing in that direction, building relationships with other folks in the industry, and holding some upcoming events too. And we've been holding some events this past year too that have helped move in that direction.
As you look to the future, Heidi, where do you want to take the Washington Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers program? What areas of growth or expansion do you want to focus on?
Yeah. So in full disclosure, it's not up to me. I'm staff, and so I coordinate with our Young Farmer and Rancher members, but it's really a member-driven program. We're a member-based organization, and so everything within Farm Bureau is driven from the grassroots, including our Young Farmers and Ranchers program. So my goal for them is to help them discover within themselves what it is they want to accomplish, and then help facilitate a pathway for them to accomplish those goals that they set for themselves. And the reason that's so important is that within a member-based organization, if I'm in there saying to them, this is what you want to do, here's the direction you want to go, they don't have ownership in that, right? And so part of me is helping them build the confidence to take ownership and lead within the organization. And it's been amazing to me to cultivate some of these relationships over the past couple of years. I've been in this role for almost 2 years now, and I think a lot of times people feel something in themselves, but without feeling the support to act on it, they often don't. And so relationships are really critical with peers, with me, with other, leaders in counties and at the state, to just help people really align with where it is they want to go, and then build confidence and courage to act on that. So I guess back to some of the goals that they have. One thing they really are focusing on is partnering with Oregon Farm Bureau, YF&R. And so Oregon and Washington, very similar states, similar Farm Bureau structures, similar challenges, and that goes all the way into the Young Farmer and Rancher program. And so over this last year, there have been a few sort of collaborative events where the YF&R folks have come together and said, hey, what are you seeing? What am I seeing? And how can we maybe work together to join forces so that we're not each recreating the wheel? And this summer, they actually had an event down in White Salmon at our vice chair's property. And they kind of started this process of doing some strategic planning as a committee and looking at who are we, what is our purpose, why are we here, and what goals do we really want to accomplish? So back to what I was saying of I wasn't the driver in that. It was truly them doing the work and digging in. And out of that process, they learned that they would really like to work together with Oregon. And they have an upcoming event in January. They're planning to hold a communications boot camp. And part of that is them just wanting to improve their communication about the YF&R program, who they are, what they do. So to your point, when somebody asks what is Young Farmers and Ranchers, they feel better prepared to answer that and draw somebody in. But then they also want to learn about marketing and social media. We know that that's really big today with technology. And then the third component of that is they want to focus on advocacy. So, and you'll hear this from our Director of Governmental Affairs, that it's often really hard to get younger folks to focus or to testify, when, legislative session is happening. But yet they're probably one of the most important demographics for that, because their future is on the line much more than somebody who is experienced and maybe at the peak of their career or looking forward to retirement. So it's really focusing on communications is what this event will be, and helping them in those 3 areas that they've identified they want to work on. And then, like I mentioned before, they also want to focus on building relationships within the other youth ag organizations. I know FFA, a lot of folks in our Young Farmer program are alumni of that, of FFA, and take a lot of pride in that. And so they have connections, but then it's utilizing those connections to say, hey, how can we work with our FFA members after they come out of high school and maybe get tied in with a collegiate program and young farmers. And then after that, hopefully they're hooked and want to stay connected and engaged. We have attended the FFA convention for several years, and really in the last couple of years kind of made more of a young farmer and rancher focus. And we hope to build on that in the future. The members do. So those are kind of two things. They also want to focus on their competitions. So within the Young Farmer and Rancher program, there are 3 competitive events, and those are run across Farm Bureau. So oftentimes folks will start out in the discussion meet, which is meant to resemble like a committee setting where folks sit at a table, they are presented with a question, and it's not a debate. It's meant to help prepare them to just have a discussion. It's not necessarily that they have to agree on everything. Maybe they can disagree, but are they doing so in a professional, respectful manner? Are they bringing valid information to the table, contributing to the conversation? And then ultimately through that conversation, does it lead to answering the question at hand? And so that, again, builds confidence. It is done in front of a crowd, so there's kind of a public speaking aspect to it, but meant to help folks, if someday they serve on the school board or city council, or maybe they become a legislator or a congressperson one day, varying levels of leadership, right? But those skills can be applied and even in your own family or your own community, just across the dinner table, having a conversation. So that's one event. And then the other 2 events, Excellence in Agriculture and Achievement Award, they are a little bit more advanced. Excellence in Agriculture is for folks who've been heavily involved in Farm Bureau and in their ag communities, but don't necessarily derive majority of their income from production agriculture. And there's an application component as well as a presentation component to that. And then Achievement Award is for folks who have derived majority of their income from agriculture. And it's really looking at an operation that they're involved in, and when they started to get involved and where they're at now and how much they've built across that time period. And within their business, it really takes a deep dive kind of into that business enterprise. There's an interview component and an application, and I believe a presentation as well. So those are some really great opportunities. And at the national level, it's very competitive. So it's inspiring to watch folks compete at that level. But we're in the process of kind of building that out here in this state. I know we've had a few folks compete previously, but the committee is really looking to expand on that and get folks more involved moving forward. I just would encourage folks that if they hear about it or they know someone who serves on the state committee, to reach out and don't be afraid to ask questions, get involved, or even contact your local county farm bureau. Like I've been saying, we are in a development phase right now, but there's lots of opportunities for folks. And the more people that we have engaged and get involved, the more, many hands make light work, right? And so it's not like, you're signing up to come to a meeting every month that who likes to meet just to meet, right? So there is a purpose and there are things that are happening, but we need more folks to get involved. So I just encourage folks to connect and don't be afraid to reach out or talk to somebody about the program, because a lot of exciting things are coming and are happening as we speak to.